Hello, and let's start with your presentations. So I suggest today maybe let's start like who wants to start? Because again, Alexander is the first on my list, and it's a bit not fair to start. Just who wants to be first? Just raise your hand. No? Okay. So Alexander, you go first. I'm sorry.
It's fine. All right. So I have not a lot to share because I didn't have the idea of like for such a project, you know, in the past. So actually, the final idea came like 2 days ago, and I tried to put, you know, as a draft what I'm thinking of to do, and I wanted to share with you, and also would be happy to get some feedback or something. So I usually start, or I like to start with the idea behind, with the concept behind, and then move to like technical part, or let's say the implementation part, because I think that the idea should be the driving force mostly in this kind of projects. And I started basically with working on this idea from the, let's say, pure photographic project. But then I thought that it might be an interesting also idea to expand a bit, let's say, the media, not just limit myself on the photo. So it's about the concept, let's say, the topics behind is about limitations. It's about the borders, especially invisible. It's about society groups, and also the topics like golden cage and the choice that people made, and the power of choice, and the choice that we make not by our will sometimes. And this is just, I put here, just they are not random pictures here. I will maybe jump back and forth between slides. I will try to explain. But when it comes to invisible borders or some, let's say, limits, I think this picture on the left represents quite cool. It's not actual the poster. It's from just a screenshot from one artwork from one Ukrainian artist, cool artist. But here it shows equal rights for all, and in the asterisk here says only for EU citizens.
Who's the artist?
It's Sasha Kurmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the concept of the golden cage as well. And when I started to think about what about the borders and everything, and how, let's say, the limitations between the different social groups, I wanted to be a bit more specific and narrow down a bit, not just take everything, you know, as a let's say the issues we have in societies, but to be a bit more specific with, you know, with the smaller groups. And I'm thinking about narrow down this to actually to a life experience of expatriates. And I will switch to another slide. So expatriates, those are people who relocate to another country, usually due to work assignment, and also usually without the intention to assimilate or fully integrate with locals. While the one who changes the job in a new country might see it as a career step. For the spouse and children, such a temporary change of environment might be a different kind of experience. And sacrificing own plans and ambitions in life, or at least pausing it or starting it over again, usually confronts the commitment and the will to support the beloved one. So companies of expats find their own internal and quiet struggle. So I wanted to narrow down this to research more how the, let's say, lives of these people are affected, and basically to study and to show how like different both like positive and or like pros and cons of this. And this comes a bit back to this, you know, the limitations and this golden cage, because especially when people move from, let's say, from less developed country to, let's say, the country with a, let's say, better life conditions. Of course, it's perceived usually as a better change, but this is usually on the surface. But what is under the surface that is not you talk about or you know about until you actually experience that, is that you might get this feeling of like being really engaged, or yeah, in this, you know, better environment, but you're less free, let's say. People have to sacrifice their connections with relatives or friends, or sometimes the language barrier can be a problem. And I know quite some stories when the full family relocate to another country, and the ones, let's say, who is the main applicant to change the job, it's a nice experience, but for the wife or husband and the kids as well, it might be a totally different experience, because they follow their spouse, but it's actually they usually don't have much choice if they want to support and keep the family. They have to sacrifice their own less career, and not only career, but a lot of their life plans and ambitions. So when I started to think about this, to invest, to study this a bit more and to present, I started with the like pure photography, with the narratives and with interviews. But then I thought that could be cool to put this idea into virtual reality, and for the viewer actually, to let them in one way or another to experience this, not just read and just to get know the stories, but basically to get some of the feeling. Oh, sorry. Come on. So here is a really short and very draft idea, is that I want the viewer to immerse into the space of being between two worlds. And the first and two worlds, or two rooms, or two environments, I don't know yet. But the first world I see will be like a simple, maybe even completely grayscale, but very familiar. And the second world, or the second room, will be more colorful and bright, so it look better. And the viewer can walk inside these two rooms, environments. But the trick is that in this second, more bright world, or bright space, there are some invisible walls or barriers that prevents the viewer to pass some of the areas. So it's kind of, you have this freedom of navigating inside, but not everywhere. And the thing that you don't know where you can pass, where you cannot pass. After like a while, you understand, like, here I can pass, here I cannot pass. But that's kind of the experience that I want like translate there. So even if you do not have this life experience, you kind of get this feeling. And I haven't thought about like how to implement it exactly, because I guess it will require quite some testing, because it should be quite easy for the ones who will experience that, who will view this. It should be clear idea, but not very very shallow idea and implementation of this. And also like what should be, like, how big the spaces should be, what should be in these spaces, what should not be there, how, let's say, how long it should take for the viewer to get this, let's say, barrier that they cannot pass. So it's sort of like in virtual world, these invisible borders that are existing in especially in a new environment that you don't think before or you don't even aware. So when it comes to like more practical things like device software, I don't think I want to use any kind of like sensors to get to get some interface. But yeah, as I said, I was thinking from moving from pure photography project to pure VR, maybe multimedia, maybe even as a 3D game. I haven't decided yet. I don't know what will work better for this, and probably it will contain anyway photos and narratives and 3D environment for sure. Maybe video. I don't know. Maybe it will be too much. And some even of infographics, not just telling the stories of some concrete people, but in general, like how in the world, how is it a lot of people who experience this? Is a lot of people move in or relocate? I don't know yet, but it would be interesting to study this. And when it comes to creation for this virtual environment, again, the tools I haven't learned yet. I started a bit with the Unity engine, and I guess Blender might be helpful. I don't know yet. I just watched a few tutorials. And also for creation, I would like to get actually to make interviews with people in who has this experience, not just how I see it, but but let's say broader perspective. And when it comes to exhibition, how to present this, again, I think it will be more clear when I understand, should it be VR, like you can actually, put on the helmet or these glasses and walk, or it should be as a game, 3D game. I don't know yet what will be better and how practically will be better. And of course, it should be with the speakers or headphones, the sound will be there. I was also thinking about sharing on the web, but maybe I missed, or maybe we haven't talked about, like if you want to share like this kind of project on the web, what should be, is there any good suitable platform, not just you viewing the teaser like on YouTube or Vimeo, but actually where you can if I have, for example, or if someone has this VR headset at home, can they experience the same if, let's say, they launch this not a game, but I don't know, this virtual reality environment at their places, at their homes, for example. And more practical, how to share, what about the IP rights and all this stuff. So maybe if you have some tips, I would be really happy to hear. And I just put some, those just random pictures that I found that, it just like to show two worlds. Again, I haven't thought about implementation, how practically it should be, what kind of world it should be. I think it will be interesting to just play around and maybe watch some more projects. But the main idea or the concept behind is, I think I'm quite, at least it's clear for me what the main message, let's say, should be, what should be the main experience. And I remember our first the first discussion with Esteban and Aoi, I think, when they told a lot of these practical tips, like what you should think before presenting, like how you handle, how to instruct people before they join, how you handle like headphones and all this stuff. I think those were really cool tips and very practical. So I guess it's a bit different from like presenting just photography, because it's, let's say, easier. But in this type of project, I think it's a lot more preparation that should be done to make, let's say, the full of the experience, and to get the viewer actually to get the full the idea because it should be instructions and it should be probably very, let's say, intuitive. Like if I want users to walk in towards and I want them to get this idea that in one place you are more free, in another place which is, let's say, it looks better but you're less free, how to make the viewer get the idea without actually telling, this to them. That might be a challenge, but that's an interesting challenge. So and I also added this quote from one of my favorite songs: "Did you exchange a walk-on path in the war for a literal in a cage?" I think it's expresses this idea quite well here. And also here it's like one grayscale world, but familiar. It's like your room, and one that is really like with a scenic view, colorful, but you actually less free there. So it's like a dilemma. Yeah, I think that's all. It's very unstructured presentation. Sorry for that, but that's how I have it in my brain right now, and I think it will be more shaped in future. So yeah. So if you guys have any, I don't know, any thoughts or any comments or any questions or maybe proposals, I would be glad to hear. Or if yeah, any feedback. Otherwise, that's all from my side for now.
Okay, maybe I will start. For my feedback, first of all, thank you for the presentation. It's really cool, and it's great that you are focused on the idea. Of course, it is not currently. It is not the final, like all detailed idea of the project, but you have this core idea, and you have a lot of possibilities how to implement it. From myself, I can tell you that even when you know what you want to do, when you will start this development phase, a lot of can change. So this is also my suggestion. Even when you will know what you want to do, don't be like super strict. Again, you can test and you can make changes. Yeah, I like this idea about two walls and about the limitations. You can think about these game techniques. You should definitely check that book that I added the link. I can send you again, because I think it could be very useful to use these game techniques. So it would be not only like about passes where you can go or not go. You can make some really like a mini game that so the viewer actually don't know the rules, but he or she needs like to investigate and to do something. And for example, in the first world, it's balanced. So it's not too simple, not too complex. You're really interested to play to like with the environment, with some stuff. Also, maybe you can like take these objects, just look at them. And then in this colorful second environment, you will have these limitations, and like maybe it will be also the game, but you can make it really complex. Because when you're playing a really complex game, you're actually not very happy because you can't just like finish it. And if you want to play with these space limitations where you can go or not go in VR, like yes, if you will have it, if you will do it like as a simple game, yeah, you can, it maybe be simpler, like you just be stuck in some place in VR. There are several techniques how to do this, like how to prevent people of not going somewhere. For example, in my on one of my project maze, you should go in the maze, and so you can't go inside the wall. So when the viewer goes like through the wall, I will then I will change the whole environment to some like empty room and just with the text, please go back to the square. So if you going through the wall, you should go back. You just can't go somewhere. Or the more simpler, maybe just like to make this fade in, fade out. What is this? That everything goes like black. It's very simple. You just put in like in Unity, yeah, you have this camera, so the camera is the viewer, and you have a black plane, and it is transparent, like zero transparent. And then if you go somewhere, it triggers and it goes from transparent to black, and you don't see. So you need to move back. Yeah. You can also play with the graphics, not just with the colors, but this is I see this like a correlation with this how the first place is more familiar for you, but it is not so good. Like you are born in the country that is not so developed, and you want to go to some country which provides more good conditions. So you can play also with graphics. So the graphics in the first room can be simpler, maybe old styled. It's like, for example, like Minecraft, yeah, the game. It's really simple. And then for the second world, you can play with all effects like post-processing. What is post-processing is like fog or some effects like really colorful, so makes this environment more real. And the first one is more, it can be more like old style, computer style. Okay, then yeah, actually I have a lot of thoughts. Other one, you can also because as I know, like it correlates with your own like story, because you're also from Ukraine, but currently working and living in another country, and so you move with your family to another country. You can also add this information. It can be like not the main information about your project, but you can. But this is also good to a viewer to understand that this idea comes not like from nowhere, but it is also your own story in some sense. So it makes more important for you and more important for a viewer. Can you go for another slide?
The last one or this one?
Can you go next? Yeah, maybe this one. Okay, about suitable platform for a web. If it's VR, you can use Steam. Yeah, so it's not very expensive to have. I don't know, maybe it's even free. Maybe just, yeah, no, you should pay for but it's not very expensive. So you can put your VR, and then you can put a link in project description, so everybody who has headsets at home can just download all the application and check it.
So Steam, the game platform, right?
Yes. You can check. There is a lot of VR games on the Steam. Actually, yeah. So this is very suitable platform for this. And cool. Though, yeah. Yeah, and also I think about viewers' feedbacks, because yeah, so the main question of your project is what you prefer actually. So maybe you can make this questionnaire in some form of questionnaire, or you can just record the time, how long different people spend in different rooms. And then you can add also these graphics to the exhibition place or to your like web. This is also good practice to put like the actual results, how your work was presented, and what the feedback of the viewers was. About how to tell people what to do. Yeah, this is a good question. in my practice, I put, you have different possibilities. You can put a text description just on the wall before the VR. You can just, you don't need to put all the details, but you can say what the viewers can do or can't do. Or maybe it can be not text description, it can be a person on the exhibition space who can help. So yeah, this is important to think how the viewer will know what to do. You can also put it in actual VR space, as I showed in my humans work. Like it was the situation when I didn't know if it will be a text description on the wall actually. So it was a quick decision, but quite good. I just put some text I wanted to be the part of the
Inside
wall.
VR.
Inside the VR. And this is a good technique if you will share it on the Steam, because yeah, you can add the description to the Steam game, but not everybody will read it. You can even make like a menu. So when the person puts on the helmet, he won't be at your project at the start. He will be in some menu where he can read about this project, and then he just like clicks to start. But you should also think how it will end. So maybe it's time limited, so like 5 minutes, and then it goes again to the menu, and then maybe in the VR it will be this questionnaire that the viewer should answer. Or maybe he just needs to put off the helmet and just put somewhere, and then the game restarts. Yeah, this is my main feedback. Maybe if I have some other ideas, I will also send you. Okay, then now I will suggest if other participants have any ideas, maybe just to say how the project is cool, or maybe some ideas, you can now share it. And this will be very good if not only me, but others also give feedback. Yeah. Kiran, do you want?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
I thought I would. Hi, Alexander, I thought this is a nice project, and especially I like that you're going into, or you suggest to go into interviews to really build the atmosphere inside. Somehow, I think after Darina's feedback, it became clear to me that it is kind of, you said game was one of the possibility, right? But is it just also strikes some things dramaturgically for me that if I'm, for example, playing it, that somehow there are at least like four types of characters or humans in this environment, which is those living in either of the environments and choosing to stay, and then those who choose to move from one to the other, even if from the colorful to the other one. And maybe then the interview process also ethnographically has to be considering all four pools of people, those who choose to stay, so that, you know, when I go to a place, I'm not encountered with yes, the visuals, of course, but also I think the people make a huge deal of why one place seems more attractive or something like that. So
exactly.
Even to mine real text that you can put up there, it might seem like to consider it also, just because it is a very theatrical experience. It feels almost quite immersive to say that you enter the position of one of the, let's say, actors or something.
Agree.
So
yeah,
that seems quite long drawn out, but yeah, could be interesting.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Yeah, I think it's a really nice idea. I was wondering, like, sometimes, again, like Kiran said also too, when the project has kind of such clear like dramaturgical presentation, I wonder, like, what kind, if you had imagined what kind of information an audience member or a participant is given as they enter into this space, like how much of the concept is actually explained to them beforehand, or if there's like I don't know, maybe like textual elements or some like clues that are revealed as you go through. Not in the gamify sense of like clue,
No. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think somehow it's like always playing between like how much of the concept you want to like reveal beforehand versus like not being careful to like not, you know, hit people over the head with a really conceptually heavy like object-oriented experience. So yeah, I was just wondering if you had thoughts about like what kinds of information people are getting as they move into it or through it, or
I don't know. I don't have much experience in that, so I think it's I just need to learn more and study and test, and probably it will come with iterations. Maybe try with, let's say, a smaller group to give a little bit more information in the beginning, and with another group a little bit less information, and kind of compare what should be more or less the suitable. I don't know yet, but I think it will be fun to explore, also to learn this, and what should be the optimal. Because I agree that it should not be too detailed from the beginning, so it should be interesting. But I don't want also this to be that people come in and then what the hell is that, and like they have no idea what is it about, and like to give the guidance. So would be interesting to experiment. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you again, Alexander, on all your feedback. So now, Yuri, can you present? You are muted. Can you unmute you? Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, finally. Sorry, I was not here like just 3 times, and now final presentation, and I'm a bit nervous. Okay, I tried to. So I'm not familiar to Zoom, so I tried to figure out. So
there is,
maybe I should this one.
There is a green share screen, and then
share
you also
screen.
If you have videos in your presentation, so if you need to share sound from the video, then when you click share screen, there will be a button like share computer sound.
So so from Mateo's request that I share, I was thinking about one scene of Lyrical Gravity, this performance, and we still don't know how the performance is going to be, if it's presented in one space or with several rooms. But I was thinking about more to the second possibility. So when we think about if we have several rooms to experience for the audience, maybe there's one room called lip sync room, and I was thinking about this. And about technical equipment and so on, I'm not that good about those things, so it would be great if I could have help from you all. So lip syncing, I think all of you know about it. And Mateo has one like choreographic tasks called lip syncing, which is not so much about like presenting or like performing the lip syncing, but more about like you become a vessel of the emotion, and you lip sync that like with the song, or like could be some script from the film, etc., etc. Yeah, and there's a song from Queen called Somebody to Love, and as you see, like 3 of the singers are here, and they are singing like same chorus, so same rhythm, same lyrics, and also same tones, but how they use the mouse is really different. So there's an individual difference with the lip syncing, and I feel this is very nice that like we use the lips could contain very different types of emotions, and also the biography from each of the people. Yeah. And I was wondering about the scene, and maybe it's nice if the could you all see my like not only my screen but also the camera?
No, we see only the screen.
Only screens.
Yes.
Okay, so I will share later. But I was imagining maybe the first scene, the only one super big mouse, the image of the mouse come. And I don't know how abstract it will be, but it starts lip syncing one song, maybe this song from Queen. And slowly it become like a multiple with different mouses like this, but 360. So you're surrounded by the different mouse. And then slowly this mouse gets more abstract. I don't know how this could be more abstract though, but maybe this like right side of the image, this B and C. Like the color gets different depending on the height of the lips, or the lips could get like a bit these types of image, different colors and so on. And also could be like a particle. With this one, you cannot see that much, but with a different color. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the left side. And I'm also wondering about the size of the particle, if it could be how it could be smaller or bigger, and how many colors and gradations could contain. Then also could be like different color images, and maybe it would be great if it could be like really small particle, like which moves, and maybe this movement could come from the data that how the lips moves, etc., etc. Yeah. And sorry, I forgot to talk about, but the setup, I imagine about VR and 360s, so the audience could move and experience whenever the elections. And it's a one room, and I want to have just one song. Maybe it could be different, but yeah. Yes, and my question is which kind of technical support could help that? And I wonder, for example, like to make the image of the lips, if we need to process, how we need to process, and what's the most appropriate way to do. And is it a good way to record different mouse and like put it in the VR space, or if it's better to process from the already existing videos? Sorry, the image of the lips from the already existing videos. Also could contain maybe the famous singers and so on, and to process it, maybe yeah, maybe it takes money, or yeah, I was wondering about that. Yes, and there's a video called Read My Lips, and this is something what I found when I was searching, and I'd like to show, but I don't know if it works. Can you hear the sound?
No, no sound.
Okay. So I think I cannot share the sound, but I will show the image a bit. And so, yeah.
No, let's do this. Let's try to.
Yeah, like the subscription. It slowly gets like yeah, disappeared.
Yuri, and about I wanted to clarify. You want in your experience it will be like one song. So will be like a pre-recorded experience. Yes. Mm. Do you hear me? Yuri, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So my question was, in your experience, you see it like it will be one song, and it will be like a lot of these mouses singing this one song, The second question, it will be like a pre-recorded images or information from the mouse, or it will be like real time?
Yeah, the real time or not is also the question, but I don't know like how much the technical equipment would be. Yeah, like also money and yeah. But to me, the most important thing is like if the audience could really be experience the piece subjective and embodied. Like not something like to see the image of the lips surrounds that wow, there's a lot and like wow, I don't know, like so that I want to include some abstract images and so on, and I think this will come like by trying. Yeah, and sorry, like I couldn't catch the first question. Could you repeat it again?
You said that it will be a song, yes?
Yes, there will be a song.
It will be like one song, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I really liked this image, even from this like real mouses photos.
Yeah.
Of the it could be great like in VR in 360. You can go like at first, maybe just a suggestion. You can when you use a real mouse, like part of real person. Of course, it works on different level from when you use a 3D mouse or with some images. You can maybe start. You can use both of these options. So you can start, for example, the real images of like photos or videos of this mouse in the 360 space, and then they will start to change to this colorful or 3D mouses. You can use in my practice we used just iPhone. So you can actually use iPhone, you put it before your face, and so okay, you have a 3D model with the morphs. So the morphs of the face of the mouse. What is morphs? It's like how you can change the morphs, and you change the emotions of the face of the 3D model. And so this camera, it records real face of the actor, and then you have this information how the face is changing, and you can use it to change the 3D model emotions, mimics, or you can use it to, for example, add colors. This you can work with this data. It will tell you a bit how mimics changes, and so on this data you can add colors or some particles what you want. I will send you the link to this technique, but you can also research what are the techniques of getting information about mimics of the face.
Yeah, something about the mimics. Sorry, please.
No, I just wanted to add that I really liked your project. I also had this idea, like, because for several years I didn't implement it, but I thought about this idea of the mouse in the VR. So big mouse, little mouse. It could be really interesting to see it around you. So really cool, yes.
Yeah, thank you. And one last question, because when I checked about the mimicking the face, and also like related to machine learning with that, like most of the example was whole face, and I wonder if most of the programs like already programmed is like tend to take the information from whole face, or like it's not so difficult to to make it like zoom to only mouse?
I don't know actually, but even if it's recording the whole face, then you can extract the part of only the mouse, or you can also check. Maybe there are some other programs that are focused only on the mouse recognition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would add one comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
About technical implementation of such an animation. So it could be a 3D model with a so-called like blend shapes. It's a specific position of points of the 3D model that's can be saved as like position 1, position 2, position 3. So each one of these positions would refer to some, for example, letter like O sound or sound or others. And you could actually program or like set the blending between those states, between those positions of points. So in the end, it will be just like smooth flow from one state to another, same to how we talk, like, or similar to how we talk. Yeah, so technically it could be possible. And this animation type could actually be pretty good for even placing these things in the augmented reality, which has more restrictions and limitations. So I would share the link to this animation type in the chat after this.
Thank you so much. Also, could you share again the spell over this program, land shapes, if I was correct?
Yeah, it's not a program, it's a type of animation. So it can be used in different programs. You can do this in Blender, you can do this in Maya and others.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yes. So yeah. I will finish. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, great. So let's move next. Leonard.
Hello, everybody. So, okay, where to start? Share screen. So, okay. So my idea is about. Of course, it's just like I'm a starting point. So things what I know. So there's a lot of possibilities. So first of all, it could be VR experience for a theater piece, as already Yuri mentioned. At the moment, we are thinking about next performance. So it could be part of performance, or it could be VIP experience, or it could be video projection, or multi-video projection on a stage for public. So you can be as a viewer, you can be inside of VR, or you just can watch things as a public on a stage. Or it could be actually some app what you use at home alone. So many different possibilities. So, but let's start with one of that. So idea is something about, it's about songs. So it could be one song or two songs. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is. Doesn't matter. And it's kind of like, I would say it's something like karaoke experience. So So it's like the heart of the piece is a real-time audio analysis of the song. So all the data, what will be used in this visual experiences come from data of music. Plus, so the like 2 channels of video would be like analysis of the music. And the third one is a microphone, because it's kind of like a karaoke experience or lip syncing. So there is your like actor or just like viewer have a possibility to sing along with the song. So this is third data. So stylistically and visually, like all this piece is about my really big love. It's like Moira effect. Already last piece with the guys, already I touched this stylistic a little bit. But now I really would love to continue that. So like Moira effect is this phenomena of so for example, this is like simple example. So this is a circle of or grid of lines, which you definitely know this effect. So if you put like 2 of these grids together, third image appeared, which I'm really a big fan of this effect, because I think it's really beautiful, even philosophically. Like there is 2 different things or 2 similar things and nothing changed. You put them together and something third appeared. Beautiful. So all this environment would be made from this kind of grid. And stylistic will be like this, very minimal, nothing more. So here you see, for example, this is an example again, like 2 circles, you put them together, third thing appeared. Or it could be like something like this, more fluid, or sorry. So this is, for example, like in a movement, how does it look? Again, there is like, it's just like a 2 pieces, but you slowly move. And more. So, okay. So idea how it works. So you imagine yourself as a performer or like a viewer. You are inside of the bubble or like a membrane or the tunnel, or you can imagine it's like a cave. For example, in this picture, you see like you are the viewer, you are inside of this cave, which contains from 3 different membranes. 1 membrane, 2, and second. 2 of the first membranes is analysis of the song, and all the grid moves and changes shape in X, Y, and Z direction. So it's already like it happens like real data analyze from a song. So it's like all the time this membrane moves, and as it moves, it's create a Moira effect. So it's non-stop movement environment, and you're slowly move through this tunnel. And it could be like all the structure would be like it's like a 1 song is like imagine like a bubble, like a room, and then you go out from this room through the tunnel. So the song's ended and blended to the next. So you're in a tunnel, then you go further, you go to another room, there is another song. So this is how you can travel through this karaoke caves. So two membranes is a song, and a third membrane is your action. So actually your singing, so your voice. So you can interact with this environment with your singing. So then you will see if you are quiet, it stays not dynamically. If you start to scream or sing, like it's like movement really like change because of that. So so what's next? Yeah, as I never work with the music, I don't have almost any idea how this data analysis would happen. But I have a few friends. I imagine it's something connected with osteograph, something about data, but definitely I think this kind of thing, I imagine it just need to be coded. And there need to be a lot of like experiments, which data for X, Y, Z direction works the best. Is it tone? Is it like volume? Is it, I don't know, there's definitely a lot of different possibilities in what works the best. I think it need to be just like, we need to try out. What else? As I told you, like all this thing could be like VR experience. It could be just like video projections or multi-video projections on a stage, in a room, in a gallery, or it could be actually like karaoke app. What you have at home, you just singing and you see you are inside of this environment. So it could be a product. I imagine this piece as this like pretty classical, like vector graphic, interactive space. And actually, I don't like this kind of artworks. So the idea is like, because it's very minimal and definitely very beautiful, I really see it as a part of something, of some kind of performance. And I see it as a background of some kind, like some action, which is actually another story. It's a theater piece or performance or dance performance. So all this is just like a background or like environment where something totally different happened. It's about music, about a song, about action, something nonsense, whatever, but this is just like a background. So it could be like independent artwork, but I'm really not a fan of this kind of artworks. So, what else? Yeah, maybe this, no, I have some more videos. Oops, I forgot. So what I have? Oh yeah, for example, this is one video what I found. For example, like how Moira, you see, it's cave. It just circles, and there you zoom in, and there lines became super small, and magic started to happen. Yeah, and then do I have something more? So yeah, there is again like a lot of different Moira, lot of things. Then as I'm not very into, I'm not into the programming and this is pretty, I know a little bit, but like not so much. Actually, I found one really useful like art piece, which is like actually very similar to what I just told you, and it gives you like all explanation how it was made with a lot of data. So I think like it could be really useful for me. And there is video, like how it was made and how it was built. So I think it's really useful. It will be very useful to use. See, almost something like in this direction. But conceptually, it's totally different. Like the idea is absolutely different. yeah, it's really, I think it's good thing. And then what else? Yeah, shortly, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay, I will start from my feedback. So first of all, visuals. Like in your work, I see like two moments that should be good tested and calibrated during development. So these visuals, like with the scene lines or these illusions effects, you should test it. If you decide to use virtual reality, you should test it how it will look in the headset, because first of all, like all the scene like lines, they can have these strobing effects. What does it mean in the computer graphic? If something is very like thin, the computer doesn't know where to put the pixels, so it like puts like this, and so this line will be moving a bit. But still, this is not the reason to like not use these visuals. So you just should check it in virtual reality. Also, how all of this works, because maybe it can be a bit dizzy. Everything like this moves around you. You should find a balance. So another point will be about audio recording and how it will interact with the environment. So first of all, you will need a microphone. Some of the headsets already have a microphone, or you can add like additional mic. You should think about how to isolate, so the sound will be only from the viewer, because if it will be shown on the exhibition, there can be a lot of sounds. So maybe as I showed on one of the sessions, one of the artists made a 3D printed like mask to isolate like a person in the headset from other environment. You just need to test it, and also all this, as you said, how it will interact this sound with the environment. It will, yes, you will need these calibrations, and I think only with the test you will understand what will be the best like calibrations for this microphone sound to interact with the space. Just tests. Also, my suggestion will be, if because as I understand, it will be interactive environment, and first of all, you should think where it will be shown. So the public, it depends. For example, in Ukraine, the people on the exhibition, they are not very like proactive. It's not very easy to make them to interact, especially with the sound. People don't feel like to sing a song. But if you know that on the exhibition or festival where you will show your work, participants will be more active and feel freely to sing and to like just even speak in your environment. It will be good. Maybe you can think about some closed area, like and also additional people who will tell the participants what to do, and just to feel free to interact with the song, with your work. And you can also think about recording, you can record even this input that goes and changes the work. Maybe you can also like record whole experience, or just record this input. So then you can recreate just if you want it to be just in the moment, like happening or performance, it's okay. But maybe if you want also to save this information and then recreate this piece without the viewer, but with his sound recorded. It could be done if you record during the showing of the work.
Yeah, I can add for this, the first thing what you said, like I found in internet, like tons of materials how to, because like this Moir effect is really big problem in VR and video at all. And there is ton of information how to escape this Moir effect. So in this piece, I would definitely embrace Moir effect. So it's really good, it's flickering, and it's all about that.
Yeah. As I said, you just need to check it, and even if something is bad from a programming perspective, it can be good for the art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Maybe someone else would like to add. Okay. Then thank you again. Really very beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
So next one will be Samuel.
Sure, thanks.
Oh.
Yeah, so my actual presentation that I made is conveniently not opening, but I will fix it and add it later. But I have anyway, I have my notes. So I just read from my notes and I can add it, the sketches and stuff afterwards. And I have one video. So for now, I don't need to, I'll share my screen in a bit. Yeah, so also along the same lines as Yuri and Leonard's, we were also thinking kind of in a practical sense about leading up to the performance we have with the Lyrical Gravity project. My contribution, I was really thinking of a way to, the effect I had in mind was really the interplay between how the part of the project which is dealing with the affective responses of sound, and also with the way that sound, acoustic sense, like how sound is actually changing the way we see, and how the way we see and operate in the world is actually a lot of times more based on sound than it is on vision. So my proposition was to create a space which is kind of using a combination of BCI and sensor technology, and VR as a kind of display or navigational framework for creating a space that can be sort of rearranged by the sensor input of a listener's experience would affect objects in a room. So the idea would be that there's a room which has a set amount of objects in it, and the objects, properties and variables of the objects are then rearranged or change in shape or dimension or these sorts of things, depending upon stimuli which is sensed from the person or people that are doing the listening. So that involves, in some sense, isolating like what you would call like listening characteristics. So dividing up the way that sound is sensed as a function of the brain and also as a function of the body. So things like the way that heartbeat may change from listening to sound, or respiration, but also the brain indexes in terms of sensing different wavelengths that are released in the brain during a listening experience. Like we also talked about this last week with both Lena and I mentioned the piece from Alvin Lucier, which does the same thing. And it also relies, I can actually share my screen quickly. Here. Just to show another good example of this, or it's kind of a good example. I actually don't really like this work, but it's a good example of this process. It's a piece by a composer named David Rosenboom, who does a lot of work with BCI. and visualization of brain output as an experience of listening to music. So this is a piece from a piece called Ringing Minds, where he has actually 4 audience members who are hooked up to like quite complex BCI interface, but they are all linked together. So the 4 audience members of the audience that are listening are actually making what he calls like a hypermind. So it's turning all 4 of their brains into one brain and picking out individual elements to combine them. And what happens is it makes sound, but it's also making these, I just show a really quick version of it. It makes these kind of like screensaver-ish images on the back wall. So it goes on like this for a bit. But basically what's happening is the very specific signals which are being output by the brain and is displaying. Idea is that the interface is also hunting for very particular signals and being able to track them and implement them onto very specific objects in the room. I kind of was thinking about this in terms of 2 different versions. One in which there's kind of one listener and then multiple observers, in which case the objects in the room are representative of like one person's listening experience. And as an observer in a VR setting, you can sort of just see how the space is being shifted or augmented based on the experience of another person. So it's a bit like you're stepping into their, you're stepping into the embodied sensation of listening, but not actually needing to like inhabit their body. And the second version would kind of function more as a feedback loop, which is a little bit like more in the sense of gamification, where 2 people are listening to sound, but inhabiting but getting the visual feedback of the other person's experience. So when you move towards an object, it would also affect the sound that you're listening to, which creates kind of a feedback loop between two viewer participants. And that feels very messy to me, but also slightly interesting somehow. With also including the possibility for outside viewers to sort of eavesdrop on the activity between 2 people. So you could also, there would be the possibility for someone sitting on the outside to watch someone's interaction. But it's also important, I think, to this idea that you're not seeing, when you're interacting with the objects in VR, you're not really viewing other bodies. So you're not like interacting with people. You're only seeing the way that space is perturbed by a listening experience, not necessarily needing to be in communication with the people that are causing it, let's say. I am a very non-adept at visual aesthetics, so I hadn't really come up with a specifically good design for what the room itself would look like. My kind of thinking would be that it would be a space with like very familiar objects, or in some sense like trying to work with the idea of making space strange by the fact of listening. So that seems to lend itself better to starting from the standpoint of a space that people are really familiar with, like a bedroom or a kitchen or something like this. But I think that there might be kind of more interesting ways to go about that. So I'm very open to this idea. And as for the required technologies, like I said, I think that here would rely really heavily on very specific and very tuned uses of BCI and sensor technology, some of which, like BCI, I don't have much experience with, but sensor-based work interfacing with coding platforms like MaxMSP and Super Collider, which are used for sound, those I have quite a good deal of experience with. And then all of this needs to be sort of routed into a VR display. But a platform in VR hadn't quite come to a conclusion yet, because I also don't, I'm not so familiar with the way that still a lot of the differences between the different VR platforms. So also that would be nice to have if people have ideas for the best platforms to work for, like coding and interacting with, or like object-based interaction. So not necessarily needing to work with representations of live visual elements, but rather like pre-coded stable objects which are able to change in size or dimension and have a sort of reactive ability. And sound-wise, I think it works quite well with also binaural use of like binaural headphones, but in a very amazingly well-funded sense, an ambisonic speaker situation would be quite ideal, but I think this is maybe beyond everyone's budget, so I leave that out for now. I guess that is it. I will upload my not very pretty but still existent sketch after we hang up and I get it from my other computer where it's living.
Okay, thank you. So I think this is a good idea. I think you should, when you will start development, you need to narrow a bit what exactly, how exactly it will interact and work. And what sensors exactly you would use for, and how these interactions with participants or viewers it will use. Also, you were talking about like several people in the work, yes, or like multiplayer, yes.
Yeah, I think it would, in my mind already, with this idea of kind of a feedback loop already, too, is like quite messy. But I think it's interesting. But I think that as I was thinking about it, I think also just for one person to be the participant and then multiple people to be able to view it is already maybe enough.
Yeah, it's definitely good to also to start with some simple part and then just make it bigger. Does anyone else want to add their ideas? Okay, then maybe let's go next. Also, I think today we will definitely will need more time than usual a bit. So maybe if someone is limited with the time, knows that he or she needs to go offline, you can now ask to present, because currently we are going just as I see you on the Zoom, but if you want to present now, you can say about this in the chat or just unmute yourself. If it's okay, then we can just continue as we are going now. Okay, so let's just continue.
Darina, I wanted to add one thing, that Alexandra and Matteo can't be on the call, as you can see, but they just told me that they will see the recording and then give and provide some feedback for participants.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So, okay, let's go to next presentation. Kiran. You're muted. Yep.
Yeah. Let me share it. This is one of the videos that Nikita sent. So I'll start with an ongoing project. Yeah. So in a kind of a long-term project, starting to look at the reconstruction of traditional Indian dances. And I've been on it for a while, making a series of works as I go on researching. So the works and the research go a bit parallel, where after making a work and then some more questions come up and I keep going in a series. And I'm actually on number 8 of the series now. And what I present for this, for now, is a bit of an idea that spans across 2 projects, roughly performance projects, but also given the situations, I think, the fact that they are digital allows them to go into different directions. So I'll talk a little bit about the concept and share some visuals with you. And I'm a bit of quite open with the forms or suggestions for the forms and the technicalities. So overarchingly, I think the idea for me was to research and propose a kind of a decolonized position on artificial intelligence. Coming specifically from the context that I do, which is South, I wouldn't even say South Asian, but a broader Indic, so South and Southeast Asian pre-modern traditions. Yeah. So, and there were 2 kind of starting points for this. One was when I found this little kind of a letter by Alan Turing, which he wrote when he was about 20, I think. Yeah, he was just 20 years old. And it was a little essay letter titled The Nature of Spirit, where he talks about the possibility of something like a spirit existing alongside the body and the material world. And that kind of, maybe I'll share that with you. It's right here. It was quite, yeah, there you see, this is from the Turing Digital Archive. There's a scanned copy of that, and you can have a read. It's of course, he's a young mathematician growing up in a time when quantum physics has already kind of made its mark in the scientific world. And he ends with this kind of, something that provoked me a bit, which was, he says, as regards the question of why we have bodies at all, why we do not or cannot live free as spirits and communicate as such, we probably could do so, but there would be nothing whatever to do. The body provides something for the spirit to look after and use. And this kind of, it was very intriguing for me that at such a young age, of course, he's already trying to speculate on the nature of spirit, coming from a very scientific training. But also this hyper-utilitarian view of the body as something that the spirit uses. And that the one, it felt also a bit quite starkly binary, which was different from the practice of yoga and dance and those things that I was doing. So it got me a little bit into that. That and the second starting point was the fact when I found out that a couple of AI labs in the US are actually studying Sanskrit as a language. And if you know, it's one of the oldest surviving languages of the Indo-European group, predating Greek and Latin as well. And it's still in use today. But something that's strange about the language is that it's not quite, it's not like it's not a mother tongue. That is, a child cannot learn it at their mother's knee. So you have to go to school, some kind of an education system to learn the language. So and it's a highly specific and highly codified grammar, which is passed on orally and also through written text through the generation. So it strikes us, it's perhaps can be described as one of the world's oldest artificial languages. Yeah, because it's not spoken indigenously by any community, but it has to be a learned language. And that becomes interesting. I can see how for people working in artificial intelligence. And so the two works are a bit in a, I think the technical research for me is a bit of the back end. And I have at this stage something like narrative fronts to how to present the ideas. The entire series that I was talking about are done as kind of open letters to dead people, artists, scientists, a kind of reclaiming an intellectual or philosophical ancestry for myself. And so the first work is now addressed to Turing, but as a kind of a speculative fiction where I try to offer a possible childhood that he had lost. So what was interesting also about Turing, which when I then started researching, was that his father was stationed in British India and was working there, but he was born around 1912, which was slightly before the time of the First World War, but also after the first Indian War of Independence, which was 1857. So his parents were a bit anxious about starting their family or having their kids grow up in a colony when the colonial power is going into war. So they actually sailed back to England, kind of popped him out there, and he was raised completely by his grandparents and then by some adoptive grandparents too. And then the mother and father came back to India, and British India, and lived there for the most part. So I take that as a kind of a possibility of him not having left India and having this childhood. So I take that span of 1912 to 1932 when he actually wrote that letter, The Nature of Spirit. And something that, so the first leg of this was for me to kind of mess with that idea that material and spirit have this binary connection where one can use the other and one would not know what to do without the other, which I find quite counterintuitive to my own kind of somatic experiences, somatic intelligences of where material and consciousness kind of play this cause and effect role. So I just take that moment until he writes and maybe a little mess with the letter. So what I found also in the Turing archive is this is fascinating. So one folder of his notes, which is titled by the one who held them, who it was one of his executors, his friends. It says, "It will be difficult, in some places impossible, to know exactly what the fragments are about." So there are a lot of these kind of stray drawings and stray sketches of his that were kind of uncategorized, and I take that as a connection to, parallelly now, so if on the narrative strand, if he's growing up in India, then there are a few images that he would see, starting with these kind of, so what you see this lady do here, it's these floor drawings that are done every morning within a house or at the threshold of the house with rice flour, and you see some details here. And of course, they disappear through the day or even in the morning, and then they're redone the next day. But they are, of course, done on a very specific kind of mathematical grid with different patterns allowing, so if you split them vertically or horizontally, and the rule of the drawing is that it's one continuous line and unbroken. So it's basically a single stroke that will start, if I start with my mouse like that, go all the way, leaving no dot open, and then it will come back and close. So it's quite fascinating to see people do this, because you have this forward bend in the morning, and then it's a little bit of a game, like a puzzle that's done early in the morning. And see some related, so these are just my kind of playing with it and learning it actually. And there are quite a few of these unlabeled drawings that also keep working with dots. So it seems like you can see a sense of a graph. There are points, but the graph is not completely drawn out yet. So there is these kind of connections that I kind of exploit visually to keep going. And so it's a bit of a kind of a messy mind space. So I've been making this scrapbook even to when I work with collaborators, it's easier to communicate. And so the dots eventually, so other things like it leads into a circular formation. So there's a lot of these unclaimed circles in his sketchbooks, which then, so the place where his father was stationed is very close to this very ancient circular temple with 64 idols, and it's a very mathematical space because it's 8 female principles on the outside, which kind of 8 squares into 64, but it's a circular formation. You see that with each of them, and that also has a connection with the energetic centers of the body. So the 8 is drawn out of there. So it's kind of a slow, implicit kind of cosmology, I guess, in a way. And then I started working with recording the dances, but somewhat with the dots, the particleization made sense. This is just a very early sketch of just a direct translation of one of the dances. But it's the sense of that a single dancing body can yield so many dots and start playing with all of that. So it's, of course, as you can hear, I'm not really making very linear sense. So it is a bit of a dreamy, like, or a subliminal space where I try to, I think, incept maybe his conscious or childhood with these images, and then leave his own, let's say, genius to kind of shift the way machine learning and artificial intelligence may be conceived, with a more deeper and nuanced dialogue with what we broadly call Eastern philosophy, which is a very kind of umbrella and a blah term to really engage with these ideas, which are quite a lot of thinkers, philosophers in the who have been working and laboring in the decolonial space, like Edouard Glissant, also have to say that we actually still don't know so much about so many of these cultures, and yet there are so many of these kind of non-scientific, non-conceptual connections. So these, for example, the ones with the blue background, he also did some work on a concept called morphogenesis, which is he's not so famous for, but it's a very interesting idea which another biologist, Rupert Sheldrake, takes on through idea of morphic resonance. That is the idea of forms resonating through generations. So essentially giving kind of a weight to the idea of spirits living through time. And these are his mathematical models and sketches for that, which are uncannily similar to a lot of tantric paintings, like these two images that you see. So it's somewhere a little bit right now in the space of slightly like a speculative fiction work, but that's something that is heavily visual and not so textual, because I don't know how to say this very cogently. So that's one, and I take that idea further. I feel like I needed to split it because it's a very laborious project of really trying to rethink artificial intelligence when I have no expertise in the field itself. So the first part was to kind of provoke Turing. And in the second one, which is more of a clear performance project, is where I address my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, who's a doctor, or the first doctor of Western medicine in my family. And I just try to kind of, the premise is to ask him, or ask the question of what knowledge of the body did he have to disinherit in order to learn Western medicine. And so that again goes into these yogic or tantric ideas of the body and mind. And in order to have this dialogue with my grandfather, I thought to directly, rather than speak in my voice, to conceive my grandchild as some kind of proto-AI being, using a lot of sensor technology. So essentially, if it's my child, it would be something, my grandchild would be this good chance of some characteristics being passed on. So that way I would capture all of the different dances that I've learned, the yoga techniques, the sounding techniques, and also the visualization and so-called meditation techniques as well. So using different kinds of sensors, of course, body motion for dance itself, but also BCI for the meditation techniques, which I find, which has really opened up through your examples. And even the one that Zoe had last week, which I found really interesting, where the performer imitated an AI, where she was answering those questions. And I thought that was also a nice inversion of not really being bogged down by the scope of the technology, but also subverting it and playing with it. And so this performance will, at least in concept, it will play out as a conversation between a great-grandchild and a great-grandfather. So I see it maybe as a series of lullabies or bedtime stories or something like that. So the context is kept very relatable and simple, but the processes are quite something else. So I'd be happy, like at this stage, I've been spending a lot of my time with, somehow kind of mapping the varied ideas and references. And I don't have too many ideas on how to technically, what the technical possibilities are. I guess I have to sit down also with the inputs of the last couple of weeks with us. But I'll be happy to hear any thoughts or any pragmatic ideas of how any of this can come to life. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, you have like a lot of ideas, interesting ideas. For example, about Turing, about this connection of his mathematical ideas and his childhood. And about this, I think, and both the projects are about like our background and background also connected in your case with this Eastern and Western culture. It could be actually interesting, and like in case of Turing, it's like a documentary project showing these connections. So yeah, I think you have great ideas. You just need to find yourself what you feel like the best form of like presentation, and even in this like site with a lot of information, it's already great. And this is like a lot of, you have a lot of inputs that you can use with actually different technologies as like for VR, for AR. So I think currently you are in the stage of like you have these ideas, and then you should just find yourself how would you like to present, to visualize it. And also, like, my suggestions will be not just to find some method just to make it just some, like, you should not use VR just because VR is like maybe popular.
Yeah.
You should find yourself, like, what you think also will have this connection with the idea. Like, I suggest to use the technique that will continue your ideas. Yeah, but this is great. Yeah,
I think that's a good reminder, actually, because I thought at one point to just work with this folder of fragments from his archive that where it says it would be difficult to know what they mean. So it's a bunch of these kind of drawings and scribblings on the side, but also a lot of blank spaces. So I thought maybe this one doesn't really need to be a performance project as much as it is an archive of these fragments from his own archive, but annotated with extra material. But I thought somehow then to play with the flat surface of the page and have other videos and other things pop out of it somehow in a kind of a stereo maybe, or but I don't really know. So it will be, of course it will be entirely digital. It won't have a physical page, but it could be through, yeah, to somehow give dimension to the flat pages for this other story that could have been or something.
Yeah, great.
How is video? I mean, we didn't really talk about this, but how does stereoscopic video sit with VR, or what exactly is the technical relation between the two?
Okay, so by stereoscopic video, do you need like if there's a technique like to use two cameras to capture video, so you have this stereo video. It will be it is very similar to just 360 video, but you still need to stand only in one point, so the viewer can't move. He can just rotate his head, but the space he will see around will be like he will have this illusion of actually perspective. So it will be just it's the best way will be if you can actually test it, like find some VR headset and test like just simple video and stereoscopic video, so you will see the differences, because like of course the stereoscopic video will feel more natural because you have this perspective, and just simple 360 video is more flat. But still both of them have, if you want to add some 3D models in it, it's not so great idea. I had experience to add in like external models to stereoscopic 360 video, but it's not working very good.
Okay.
Yeah, there are several techniques, but still it's a bit complicated to arrange 3D objects with the video. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go next. Yes. Mikhail. Yeah. I mean, like CRC, Z, and G. If I remember correctly, your name, yeah, Mikhail. Yeah, hello.
My name is Michael. Yeah, thank you.
Michael. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm gonna start screen sharing now.
Okay.
A second. Okay, can you see?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so my proposal for the project is a multiplayer cardboard VR experience called Species of the Virtual Forest. And the basic idea is that oh, no, I don't see my own. Okay, just a second. It's always a problem here to share. So the idea is about a virtual forest. And in this forest, there are 3 species, trees, foxes, and birds. And the player basically can switch between these species, being one of these species. Do you still see my presentation? Because I get an error message again.
We see the presentation.
Because I don't see it anymore. I get an like last time. I'm gonna try to share again.
Okay.
I get an error message. Okay, maybe this time. Okay. So the idea is that you can switch between these species, being one of the species, by movement. So if you stand still, you become a tree. If you move a little bit, you become a fox. And if you move quicker, or if you move inside of like a larger space, you become a bird. So that's the basic idea. And each species has like a specific, a small musical motive. And I'm thinking of something like Peter and the Wolf by Prokofiev. I hope I always can't speak that name correctly. Sergei Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf, okay, which is a children's musical, and where each species has their own melody. So it is a multiplayer experience. So here's the concept again: 3 species, and each species has a melody or a motive. Because it's a cardboard VR, the players would have their own smartphone in a cardboard VR, and the smartphone sensors trigger the transformations between the tree, the fox, and the bird. So if there's no motion, you become a tree. If the accelerometer of the smartphone goes over a certain threshold, like if you move a little bit, you become a fox. And if you move faster, or if you move in space, that's something that depends on how it's going to be presented. You become a bird that flies around. So, and from the visual is that you see yourself kind of like from a third person perspective. So you can like in a computer game where you see yourself from behind, or from like so you can see your transformation, your own transformation as well. But the idea is that in this space, in this virtual forest, there are multiple players. So they're in this interaction, switching between these 3 states, there could be some sort of emerge some sort of symphony, or some sort of, because each character, the different motives are played. Okay. So the technology, I've been working quite a lot with low-tech VR, Google Cardboard, which means that the VR is rendered in a browser on your smartphone. There is a library called A-Frame, which kind of like wraps it up into an easy-to-use kind of library where you can put in 3D models and stuff. Also, like sound, for example, is already spatialized. So if you are in the scene, if you are in front or on the side, the sound adapts. And then there is a thing that I haven't tried out, but I would love to try out for this project, is called Network A-Frame, which gives you the multiplayer part. So basically that means it runs on a server somewhere in the cloud, and then you enter the address, and then you share that space in the virtual world. So that's built on top of A-Frame. And then there are other libraries, for example, Tone.js for sound, and so on and so on and so on. In terms of feasibility, I would try to build a single player experience first. So first just have this this transformations, see if they are triggered, if you move around, if the sensors work, and so on. There's always, obviously, the different phones have different latencies and all this kind of stuff. So it's not a super high performance concept, but it should kind of like, to see if it works, I can try different phones, for example. And then the second milestone would be to build the multiplayer experience. That means that I have to put it somewhere in the cloud. So we could test the prototype quite early, or I could invite other people to test it. And then I would add the music and the audio, writing little motifs for the different states. And up to that point, I would just put in pre-made 3D models just for testing, gray boxing. And then in the fourth step, I would then build models myself, which I'm not very good at, but I think I can do it, like the tree, the fox, the bird, and animate them. And then milestone 5 would be polish it, put more stuff in and see if it kind of looks good and feels good, and adjust some parameters. For the classification of the movement, so if the system tries to figure out, are you standing still, are you moving a little bit, or are you moving, we basically need 3 classes, and this would also be a good place to try machine learning for this classification, because machine learning is very good in kind of drawing boundaries between this kind of messy states where you don't know exactly where the boundary is. Is it still moving, or is it just? But this would be an optional. I put the brackets around it because I see that as an optional or a future development that could be added later. Also, the transformations between the 3 states. We already talked today about morph targets in Blender. That's also something I would consider optional, but it would make it nicer if your tree would morph into the fox and morph into the bird and then take off. So, but for me, that's advanced stuff. So I also would consider that nice to have, but not necessary. And then at the end, it could be deployed. So you could imagine that there is either it's a complete remote experience where you just, every player is in their own room and they come together in VR. But I think it would be more nicer in an exhibition space where you have a room. You have also some, you need to add some system to, so players don't bump into each other, or keep a distance of 1.5 meters currently, and so on. This needs to be added on top of it, but it would be nicer if it would be in a shared space. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, great presentation. I have several questions. One of them you already answered about like this morphs. So my first question was how this transition between tree and fox, and yeah, how it works with morphs. So just like boom. And, yeah.
Yeah, first just like boom, and then later.
Yeah. Also, if it is a multiplayer, how you will know, and you are watching from not from the first viewer but like from a third person, how you will know which fox or tree or bird you are and not other players? Yeah.
If you think about like some role-playing games, basically you are behind your own head.
Okay.
So you walk with the character, but you're a little bit behind and you're a little bit up. So you see, like The Witcher, for example, you're always behind the person, and so you see that you are this one thing, and you can distinguish yourself from the others from your position.
Mm-hmm. And how will, with the tree it's more easy, but with the fox and with the birds, how these movements, so you have information from accelerometer, so it's like how fast you move your head, your phone. But still, how you make this movement, like to move forward or left, right? How you?
That's a good point. And I was at the beginning. Initially, I was thinking about having this, so the movement themselves be kind of like randomized but procedural, so it's not something you can really influence. You can influence jumping into the other state, but you cannot kind of like steer your figure, because this is difficult with the cardboard stuff. You don't have a controller. I mean, you can make it work. Also, the technology also kind of, you can make it work with an HTC Vive or with some controller, 60 Way of Freedom VR. But my thinking is to make it accessible for many people, that they just need to bring their smartphone and you provide the cardboards, or they can buy the cardboards for $4 or something like that. So the movement itself could be like purely procedural in that space, so that if you are a bird, it just flies like in a circle. Let's say if you're a fox, it just like walks around. I've been working with pathfinding stuff in the past, so I think I can build some very simple stuff. But this could be something to be figured out during the prototyping as well. Maybe you can influence the direction or something like that.
Yeah. Also, you should think about if the head movements will control the movements of the person, of the avatar. How it will be comfortable for the viewer, because if you, for example, you want to be a fox, so you need to move your head, and but still you want to see your fox, because then you like freeze and you get it free. And so
that's good. That's a good point. Yeah, you need to be very how do you say, the boundaries between that states, it needs to be very carefully adjusted. And I don't think, maybe it's a good idea not to make it like immediately reacting to it. So you kind of like, if you switch a state, then there is a certain time where it just lets you be, and then after a while you can switch again or something like that. I think that's interesting, because it's a space to be explored with prototyping, with a lot of like trying out stuff, and that's what I find interesting as well. And also the idea of the musical composition that comes together when different motives are played and people. I made a piece which is based on GPS, where you walk in the city and you create music through walking around in the city, and you can hear the result on your phone as well. So I'm interested in that sort of collaborative sound making, I think, and and this little VR world. So it's a very little world. It's like a small kind of area, and not a huge thing, but very restricted everything. Yeah.
You can also use input not only from accelerometer, but also from gyroscope. So gyroscope is how you hold the phone, so the angle. This is cool that you want to do it accessible for a lot of people. Of course, cardboard is easier than VR headsets. And also, as I understand, the important part will be the whole 3D world. Yes, so. Or it will be on the idea will be all about these avatars, but also like 3D world, like you can investigate it with it.
Yeah, but I think that will be for this scope of this project, the 3D world will be really small. So you think about really little forest. You could think about it like I don't know if you've played Protoys. That's kind of like an game where you wander around a world and you explore it, and there is some stuff happening, but you're not really sure. So this could be like a future stage for this, to make the world bigger. but I would start with having this like really small, limited world, and just focus on the interactions between the players and the transformations. I think it's a lot already, but I think that's, for the beginning it's small, and then later it could be bigger.
Yeah, this is a good approach. Okay, does anyone else wants to add their comments? Okay, then thank you again, and let's go to next presentation. So, Joe? Yeah?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. Let me share my screen. Wait. This one, this one. Oh, I need to allow. Wait a second. Sorry for making you wait. Come on. Should be working out. You see?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I'm gonna present my project. So it's really similar to Yuri and Leonard and Samuel project, since it remains in the lyrical gravity frame. But as we discussed, it's not really defined, so I had to narrow it according to how I will see the project in the future, and I choose to focus especially on the affective power of songs, and also the imperfect body, and how the sensitivity can enhance our body. So yeah, so first the project would be something really simple. So it's a multiplayer VR digital event. So it will be more like a game with 4 or 5 people that will enter in the room with I'd say AR headsets and maybe 2 remotes. For me, it will be like a predefined space, really simple, I think mostly white, and that will be shaped and created before, after when there is interaction between the users. Here you can see, for example, basically a space example. I think I also imagine that there would be some objects displayed in the space. As Samuel, more comfortable objects, but also it can be like hurdle. Of course, the participant will have an avatar, and everything will be triggered and will be related to relational materials such as joy, fear, surprise, excitement, tranquility, everything. So yeah, about the game itself. So for me, the process will be more like the participant choose 1 or 2 songs that they like with lyrics, and the music will be downloaded and available on the headsets, and you will be able to listen your own song, and of course other people's songs. And the heart of my idea is, of course, it will also be visualized. I got really inspired from the 2 weeks ago presentation when the musician played and everything was displayed on the wall. And the music was really like physically shown on the wall, and I found this idea really interesting. So yeah, that would be visualized through moving image, moving text. So the process really quickly. So music are being played, as I mentioned, and as the music is being played, they will interact together, and maybe they're gonna have a quick talk and say, oh, I like this part of the music, or I like this chord, or I like the whole song, and then they're gonna start around them shaping the space. You can see here on the picture, for example, the two picture here on the right corner up there. So like people like just talk and exchange idea, and then on the right here, it could be like an example of what the space, the wall might look like. I mean, with lyrics and some shapes with the moon, or some circle shapes here, and little words, big words, part of the lyrics. And yeah, of course, and then to allow that, they will have to communicate. So they will, I think, I'm not sure about the ASI, but what I imagine is they can either speak or write a message together via a chat with the two remotes, but this seems a bit complicated, but I don't know. And discuss about what they like, the lyrics, the melody, the chord, the strings, the rhythm, what are their favorite moments. And of course, they will be then inspired by other people's comments, their sensibility, and say, oh, I really like that. Okay, maybe I like that. And then let's shape something together. Yeah. And I think one of the at the end of the game, of the performance, I think it's great to see how the space evolved through time, and to maybe to have a collective writing together and see how it involved, and what can we write in the future, the story, and I mean, in general, get some feedback from the users. So for this performance, you also talked about equipment. I think the easiest way will be selected two different brands that you mentioned. I think the Oculus Quest Audio one, for how I see it, is maybe the easiest way, because they have two remotes and everything is included. Or also here, the Pro Series Vive Cosmos, everything is really good quality. And maybe they would also need, I think, a base where everything is centralized, that will create a space, and thanks to what they will change and thing. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Can you tell more about how exactly this communication part? So they can just speak at first.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna stop and share, and I don't know, maybe with the help of the remote, press a button. Do you want to communicate with them? He's gonna come to you. You're gonna go to him and say, oh, what is your own song? What do you like about it? Can we share together? And then you will, according to insensibility, or I don't know, try to understand him and say, oh, okay, I got what he meant. Maybe I share mine with you, and let's and then accordingly let's shape the space together.
Mm-hmm. I just have a thought about, yeah, you can focus on this communication part, and also visualization. The visualization of the song can be not only made by algorithms that you made, but maybe you can, for example, one person tells other person that he likes some song, for example, Queens, yeah? So in some particular song. This is a more complex idea, but it just came to me now. So that other person listens to this song, and he or she decides how this song should be visualized. So you give them the ability, for example, to check what colors, like for example, what colors you think this song is, and you can check several colors, and then you can check forms, and so on. And so then based on these answers, this song will be played again, but visualized with these forms or colors or speed that other person feel like this song is related to. So it could be also interesting to make these visualizations based not only on your opinion or on the opinion of the first person who tells he likes this song, but also like another person who listens it, and because we feel the music differently, and the visualizations can be different, and you can also use this to show how the same song can be visualized or felt different by different participants. It's just my suggestion that came when I watched your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, maybe? Okay, thank you again.
Thank you.
So let's maybe go next. Christina?
Yes.
Oh, this is your okay.
This is my computer.
Yeah, I was interested. Who is Roma? Okay.
This is I'm so sorry, but my English is not very good, but I try tell about my presentation. Okay. 1 minute. You can see.
Yes.
Yes. 1 minute. I can do the mixed installation, labyrinth, and VR experience, and I want to do a dance performance. 1 minute. I want to build a cube of 1 minute of fuel with printed abstract human figures or made 3D mapping. I don't understand what do. In the 1 minute. In the middle cube, the visitor must touch VR experience, and this VR experience on the projector translate in this big 14 cube. It's very hard. Okay. The performance can walk about the cube and the lapping on the wall. On the performance, we can see transformation video. And Я можу сказати українською?
Да, давай. Окей, so
Дуже складно. Я вибачаюсь.
Christina will talk a bit in Ukraine and then I will translate in English shortly. Давай, да.
Дуже дякую, бо мені страшенно складно.
Давай.
Я хотіла зробити куб з фатином, на якому мають бути надруковані абстрактні фігури або має бути 3D-мапінг. І коли буде VR-досвід, точніше, коли буде перформанс, я хотіла, щоб на людині, який буде перформанс, вона буде проходити мимо цих, скажімо так, фатину цього, і в нього на тілі повинні з'являтися зображення, і вони повинні змінюватися в залежності від того, через яке вона зображення пройшла. І в результаті цього якби перформансу на ній повинні з'явитися дуже багато цих зображень, якби досвідів, які вона здобула.
Виходить, це буде як простір, а то, що зображення, вони будуть саме на людині з'являтися, так?
Зараз я вам покажу, я робила невеликий...
Давай я перекладу трошки.
Да, давайте.
Okay, the idea was to make a space with like a maze with a texture, and the walls of this maze will be a fatine, a fabric, and so with some images of the person, and then based on where the performer is walking in this maze, the images will change. So that now we will see in the video more information on this.
Це якби невеликий фрагмент, як я пробувала транслювати VR-досвід на свої роботи. Тобто у мене було мікс своїх робіт реальних, і на них якби я пробувала зробити цей фатин і зробити на них VR-досвід. Але це якби тільки така спроба. І якби щоб мікс реальності, зараз реальності і доповненої.
І ці проекції, вони виходять не на саму, тобто є людина, це не перформер, це відвідувач.
Це ні, це просто в мене був такий якби перша спроба. Це не є зовсім проект, який я от хочу зробити так, а це просто в мене були перші спроби, як я собі це в мікроваріанті бачила поки що.
А буде проекція саме на людину, яка йде цим лабіринтом, саме на її тіло?
Я взагалі б хотіла, але я не знаю, як це зробити.
Я теж поки що дати.
Тому це поки тільки,
Okay, so English translation a bit. So you can see in this video, this is a previous work of Christina when she made a projection of this. So there was a VR experience, and it was projected on this fatine, on these textures in the space. So it's like a bit of mixed reality, and her idea of this maze project will be to make this projection maybe on the participant who will go in this maze. The main concept will be the changes of these images during the during when you pass this maze.
Це приклади того, як воно було, сам VR-досвід, і він транслювався на зображення цих робіт. Це якби про...
Я тобі зараз буду ставити питання, якщо англійською мовою буде зрозуміло, чи краще спочатку українською?
Краще спочатку українською. Якби я розумію, але мені трохи інколи складно в деяких складних.
Ти там сказала 7 на 7 метрів, тобто це фізичного простору, так? 7 на 7 метрів?
Так. Це і в мене є VR-досвід, от він якби те, що я пробувала зробити. Я хочу його відобразити в реальності, і щоб це був такий мікс, тобто і як інсталяція, в якій ти гуляєш, і потім всередині, в куба цього, ти можеш одягнути окуляри і погуляти саме по цьому типу віртуальному просторі. Але я хочу його ще зробити інтерактивним, і я поки не знаю, як це зробити.
Окей. Давай повернемо вже останню позицію.
Я зараз просто покажу ще зображення, от ці такі, саме як я хочу друк на фатині робити, тобто що я хочу.
This is illustrations of the images that will be printed on the 14 on the texture material. Yeah, and the space should be interactive, so based on your movements.
Це маленькі приклади просто цього принту. Я його друкувала на тканині, і це як вони накладаються і як якби діють з простором. І це якби VR-досвід, в якому якби я пропоную прогулятися. Але я хочу його ще зробити якось інтерактивним, тобто, щоб глядач міг взаємодіяти. Тобто, подібну штуку я хочу відобразити в реальності.
Наскільки я зрозуміла, тобто в тебе основна ідея – це про ідентичність?
Да.
Ідентичність якби тебе або глядача?
Так, головна ідея – це задати запитання, хто ти. Тобто, щоб людина задала собі питання, хто вона є, і зрозуміла, тобто могла побачити ці всі слої, які на неї накладаються протягом його життя, і проаналізувати їх, і зрозуміти, хто вона є в дану хвилину.
So the main idea of the project will be to understanding who you are. So when you go through this maze, a lot of layers of images will be put on you. You can see how the image of yourself in this maze will change. And so this is about how we change during our life and who actually we are and what is our identity.
У мене ще була ідея, тобто зробити це, я в тебе бачила, портали, що тут в центрі це якби коли ти народжуєшся, і щоб людина могла нирнути і відчути якийсь досвід з народженням. Потім, коли тобі 3 роки, вона теж ніби в іншу кімнату заходить, і там інший досвід, коли тобі 15, наприклад, і там 30, чи в різні такі періоди вікові, щоб ти якісь спогади налинули на людину, і щоб вона зрозуміла, що це все, якби з нею завжди живе. Але я не знаю, як це зробити, поки це тільки ідея.
Да. Давай я тоді англійською мовою зараз перекладу, відповім, а потім, якщо що, ми з тобою можемо окремо зізвонитися.
Добре, дякую.
Okay, also another idea was to make these like portals, so when the start will be when you are born, and then the stages of your life, like childhood, when you're young, when you're old, also to change, to show the changes in your life. Yeah, so what I see some difficulties in this project. Yeah, you should see if it will be in VR, like 7 and 7 meters. You need to check how to make this space to be tracked in this big space, and how to make these portals. But I like the idea of these transformations in VR. Not sure now how to make the projection on the physical body of the viewer. So yeah, currently I think I like the idea, and I see also a lot of possibilities in how to make this. But still, you need this part of when you should think how will be the best, not very complex, but comfortable, and so the viewer will understand what is happening, and the start and the end of this experience. Yeah, maybe others also want to add something. I'm sorry, it was a bit complex for me to translate.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, if no comments, then we can talk later in Ukrainian more about this. And let's go then to Vera. I think you are the last participant for today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, do you hear me well?
Yes, hello.
Okay, now I will start sharing my screen. So because I'm a visual artist, I like to draw by my hands, and in VR I'm drawing in tilt brush and gravity sketch. I decided that it would be nice to implement my comic stories that I have made 2 years ago for the Real Casino about backgammon. Story of backgammon. It was 58 portraits of real people with their real interview and their real thoughts. But for the VR project, that woman, she is a lady of 74 years old. She is 20 years in the wheelchair. She wrote a book about her life story and story about backgammon in her life. And one day she asked me to make a drawing for her book, like a comic story. And she disappeared for some time. But now, after I listened many ideas and after that course, I decided that it would be very interesting to create narrative storytelling in the VR as the interactive experience related on the books of that woman. And yeah, so this is my project. And what shall I use for that? I think I will use Unity and Tilt Brush. And for me, it's challenging is how to build a narrative storytelling in the VR, because as we know, for comic stories, there are many slides, and this story, if it would be graphic design, like 20 pages. But in VR, how can I show it? I can show in application on Steam, for example, or create a video 360 for cardboard. And very interesting to discover UE, UX experience in VR, how to build it in Unity. So that's it. This is my idea, very short.
Okay, yeah, the comics is VR is an interesting idea. Like, I can check. My friend done a really short VR experience. It was also in these comics visuals. I think you should start with research. I think there could be some examples of how it could be made, and you can think not about tilt brush, but also myself. I like this like painted as you cannot you can use the actual comics graphical I'm sorry, I was switched to Ukraine and now a problem to switch again to to English. So the graphics of the comics, you can use it's still in VR. You can make it even two-dimensionals, but these like two-dimensional figures can be put in different positions, so it will have this feel of perspective and also this feeling of comics. You should definitely focus on this storytelling part, because how the viewer will know where to look. You can add some interactive moments, maybe. So, for example,
how to add interactive moments in the VR? I don't know.
For example, you have several scenes. Yeah, they are in different places, and so at first you listen to all the dialogues. So this is happening, but then maybe it goes to some idle state. So your characters have some idle information, some idle animation, and you. And then the viewer, if he wants to go to another space, he needs to gaze, for example, to the door for 2 seconds, and he goes to another space. Or, for example, even you can add, you can make it more complex. So this story, it is not like triggering itself. So you need to trigger. You need to focus on some figure, and then this dialogue will happen. for example, like in some quest, some simple old quest games, yeah, you need to click on the person to start this conversation.
And it is possible to implement in Unity these interactive buttons?
Yeah, yes. So it will be like just some like collider, so some invisible box, and then again you have you always have the information where the viewer is watching, like where the gaze goes. So you know where the camera is rotating, and then so you have like this line, and so you can find out if he looks on some trigger, some door, for example. And then you start the timer, for example, 2 or 3 seconds. And if he doesn't move his head from this door, then he starts to interact with this door. You can add this, for example, and for viewer to understand that he's interacting with the door, you can add like also this like timer that go like a circle and goes like this. So when if he looks, it starts, the animation starts, and if the animation ends, then he like interacts with this door.
How do you think, is it possible to make animation for some simple emotions, like simple body movements, simple smile, or changing some on the face? I know that if I will use Quill, it is possible to make animation, but in Unity, if I will use my sketches or some imported from Tilt Brush scene.
You need to check it. So to use animations, there are like several possibilities. If your 3D model is rigged or have these morphs, then you can make animation for it.
No, it will be not rigged. It will be not 3D model. It will be like VR paint.
I think that in Quill you already can record the animation. No, like
in Quill, yes. In Tilt Brush, no.
Maybe do you have possibility to export from the Quill this like a model and the animation of the model?
Like model, yes. Like animation, I need to check. I'm not sure.
Because if you can export this information, then probably you can import it to Unity. So actually, I don't have like the answer to your question, but you need to make a research. Like you already have programs that you are using, so you can just Google like can you export animation from Quill to Unity? If it's possible, it definitely will be some tutors or like instructions how to do this.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, maybe someone has their feedback or questions to Vera or to others. Okay, then I think it's all for today and all for the course of performative arts in VR and VR. I was very happy to see and hear all your today's presentations and also your other presentations on other days. I hope it was inspiring for you, because for me it was really inspiring to hear and watch all this. I hope you get ideas and yeah, maybe get contacts. If you have, you can feel freely to contact me in the future if you just want. So yeah, and I hope all this project will be implemented in some point of time, maybe soon, maybe not so soon, but still in this form or in another, because they're great and you are great. So thank you all for today and for the course.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darina, so much. It was very interesting to investigate all these topics and all these cases you shown, and thank you for your experience so much. As I told before, that the feedback from Alexandra and Matteo will will come later. And I just wondering if you guys have any kind of a feedback to Darina. We can also tell her right now this, because I think she did a great job in constructing the course, and all the materials was very interesting and very great. So yeah, if you guys want to, Darina, I would only ask you, since I made you a host earlier, can you then stop the recording so that, yeah.
Should I stop it now or?
Yeah.
Okay.